Reppin' Philly ain't a choice. It's a way of life. PhillyGoat.com is your one-stop shop for Philly pride. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. Look fresh, stay Philly, Philly Goat. Go Birds. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for March 25th, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the podcast. Happy hump day to everyone out there. We got a lot to get into, so let's get right into it. First, let's start with the Flyers. 3-2 loss last night to the Blue Jackets. I guess it could have been worse. They are 5 points back now instead of 4 with 12 games left. But a game they should have won, could have won, needed to win. Sean Couturier, Jamie Drysdale, each with a goal. They're back at it tomorrow against the Blackhawks. But every game at this point for the next 12 is important. Could be down 6. They're only down 5. So we will take that as the Flyers look to sneak into the playoffs. And I think it's important to know that this isn't like it's been a while since we've had playoffs here in Philly, but like legit playoffs, not bubble playoffs. But NHL, anything can happen. You get a hot goaltender, all of a sudden 8 seeds, 7 seeds make it to the Stanley Cup Finals all the time. I mean, we saw that with the Flyers back in 2010. So in the NHL, it's just important to get in, and then you kind of go from there. So that's why I'm kind of harping on this a little bit more than what I am with the Sixers. And then speaking of the Sixers, they're back in action tonight down at the X against the Bulls. Paul George makes his return. What kind of reception will he get? I don't know. I guess there's two sides to it. You could say, F you, Paul George, what have you done for us? But then there is the part that's like, all right, there's 10 games left. This is sort of where we're at. Can they can't fall out of a playoff spot. That's for sure. Even if they lose 10 in a row, I don't think mathematically it is. I guess mathematically it'd be possible, but just feasibility wise, it's not possible. So we haven't had playoffs in a year, so we'll see what happens. There's that side. Now, further complicating this, and I'm going to be fully transparent. This is my Charlie Brown, Lucy with the football moment. Joe magically is listed as questionable or upgraded to questionable for tonight. So here's my theory, and hit me up, tell me I'm an idiot, whatever. I know it's coming, but there's part of me that believes that this legitimately could be true. Joe's injury and Paul George's suspension sort of came at the same time, so maybe they saw the writing on the wall. Now, complicating it was the fact that Maxey got hurt, Oubre got hurt. I don't think that's part of any grand conspiracy, but the goal coming into this season always was, if we can get to the playoffs with Joe and Paul George being healthy. Now, the suspension, I think, helped that regard in a way, so he should be ready to go. Obviously, game is different. I'm not saying that he did it on purpose or anything like that. That's not the conspiracy. Joe's mysterious oblique injury is where I'm coming in with the conspiracy. All of a sudden, 10 games left in the regular season. Nice little ramp up into the playoffs. Joe was playing well, showed that he could still dominate when he was playing. There were times this season where the team looked outstanding with Maxey, Paul George, and Embiid. Maybe Daryl Morey's playing the long game here, and maybe we're going to see them creep up, get at least the 6th seed or even the 5th seed possibly. They're only a game back of 6th. Technically, I guess a game and a half if you factor in the fact that the Hawks have the tiebreaker. They're game and a half out of, or game and 2 games out of 5th. I'm sorry. a game out of sixth, which that's where you want to be. You don't want to be in the play-in tournament. 10 games left. That, like I said, it's a nice little ramp up. I'm not saying I'm back in. I'm not saying I'm going to kick the football. But I need your help here because I need talked off the ledge because I'm seeing that football and I'm thinking this time is going to be different. This is what we've been waiting for how many years? A healthy Joe going into the playoffs. I'm nuts, aren't I? 267-495-8531. Tell me how crazy I am, but I'm just saying there's it's like I tell you, I say it all the time. Sixers are the crazy X. My mind keeps telling me no, but man, there's that little piece that I'm like, could it be? Could this be the time? Everybody else is dealing with injuries. Just throwing it out there. But as Mark Zumoff used to say, buckle up. We're coming in for a landing. The final 10-game stretch here of the Sixers season. What will it look like? I don't know. Should I even entertain kicking this football? Probably not. But this time could be different. It could be different. All right, on to the Eagles. Lots of Eagles news, actually. I guess start with some signings. Fred Johnson's coming back. I like Big Fred, so that's a good move for the Eagles, especially if everybody stays healthy. He's a good depth piece, and we saw sort of a lot of the Eagles' issues. They weren't spectacular beginning of the season, but a lot of those issues when Fred had to actually play for Lane and didn't have that sixth running back. Now, obviously that's not going to be the offense this year at all, so that might be a moot point. But I like the fact Fred Johnson's coming back. They signed Elijah Moore. Now, for you fantasy players out there, Elijah Moore has been an absolute bust in free agency or fantasy football for me. But there's a caveat here. Elijah Moore is very, very, very good friends with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown credits him with helping him through some of his tough times and things like that. So, could be he was what the Eagles felt was the best guy out there. Could be a subtle move because the reports that came out yesterday, Adam Schefter said that there was indeed no handshake agreement, that the Patriots, if they're all their troubles with the NFL, would never do something like that, or at least that he has heard. So maybe there's a chance that AJ isn't going anywhere, which I think the Eagles are a better team. And if he's not going to go anywhere, at least for this season, why not have one of his very close and dear best friends on the team? Maybe he's the guy that can say, shut up. Maybe he's the guy that can say, get off of social media. Maybe he's the guy that can mend the fence, or if there even needs to be mending between Jalen and AJ. I like this move. It's under the radar. I don't know what it's going to translate to on the field, but from if you're in the bring AJ Brown back camp, this is a good sign in that direction. There was also the report that a doctor that I believe, is an NFL doctor, but I don't think it's a doctor that has worked with AJ, but I'm not 100% sure on that, said that his knees are a ticking time bomb. And I don't know if this is reverse psychology by the Patriots to try to scare off other people, drive the price down. Lots of shadiness goes on. So we'll see. There's still a good chance he gets traded, but bringing in Elijah Moore, it's only March 25th. There's a lot of time. I know there's a lot of people that say, well, if they trade him before June 1st, they can absorb the hit this year and not have to be done with it. I don't know. But there's that. I'm not the math. I don't understand the way the cap works when it comes to things like that. But you got a lot of guys you're trying to re-sign and extend. So we'll see what happens. But I think, like I said, Elijah Moore, just maybe. But I do like Fred Johnson coming back. Kyle and I will discuss this and the rest of free agency and start looking ahead to the draft on the Brotherly Birds breakdown. That will be out on Friday, so stay tuned for that. subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont, to make sure you get notified. All right, Phillies tomorrow, opening day. Looks like there's going to be some 20-mile-per-hour winds blowing out to right. Could be a high-scoring one. Lots of dingers. So could be a good start for the Phils. But the big news, Zach Wheeler will start Saturday at the Lehigh Valley. And it could be back, essentially, by the end of April, depending on how he feels. If I had to guess, there's no timetable, really. They got to ramp him up. I guess he's on like a pitch count or whatever. But it feels good after 3 starts. That kind of puts him in line with the end of April, beginning of May. And we'll see what happens from there. But for today's Phillies preview, that's what we're going to look at, the pitching staff. And I think from a starting pitcher perspective, until Wheeler comes back, you're starting with Sanchez, Nola, Luzardo, Taijuan, and Andrew Painter. And Taijuan pitched well in the World Baseball Classic, had a solid spring as well. So this is the strength of this team. This is the absolute strength of this team, specifically Sanchez, Luzardo, Nola, and then when Wheeler comes back, I think whatever you get out of Taijuan and Andrew Painter could surprise us all. Taijuan's on a contract year, I think, finally. So he's going to be looking to really make his mark too and be there in case Andrew Painter doesn't pan out. So absolutely the strength of this team is the starting pitching. Now the bullpen. The bullpen is where there's question marks. I think very end of the bullpen, Duran, I think, should bounce back. I know there was a couple games last year where near the end of the season where he struggled with missing some spots. But from what I'm hearing, he's kind of worked through some things. And obviously, either way, he's still one of the best closers in the game. Then you got Alvarado, Brad Keller just signed, Tanner Banks, Jonathan Bolin, Kyle Backus, Zach Pop. What a name, Zach Pop. He should be a linebacker, Zach Pop. And Tim Meza, starting the year on the injured list, Zach Wheeler, Kirk Green, and Max Lazar. I feel like on paper, this has potential to be a very good bullpen and help support the starters. Because I think with Wheeler coming back from the injury, Painter kind of getting adjusted to Major League life, and the fact that even though they were both good in the postseason, wear and tear on Sanchez and Luzardo, if this bullpen is solid and if this bullpen is good, that, is only going to help. We saw it with the Dodgers last year where half their starting pitchers were on the IL the entire season and came back in the postseason well rested. Not that we didn't do well as a pitching staff against them, but if you can save some of those innings for September and October, that all is dependent upon your bullpen, which we didn't necessarily have last year, which is why Sanchez had to go 7-8 innings. Ranger was out there. Nola was getting shelled so much. So if this bullpen, which on paper looks like it could be top 10, I saw some websites calling them possibly top 5 in the league. But if they could be top 10, that's a pretty damn good bullpen, and that's going to help support your starters, which are arguably the best in Major League Baseball. So the pitching staff in general is the strength of this team. I think with Keller, hopefully he can continue what he did last year that led to his free agent signing. Bolin's a new guy. They did lose Strom, but Strom was up and down last year. But again, on paper, this doesn't look too shabby. But what are your thoughts on the pitching staff this year? Am I overselling it? I know a lot of people said I was underselling the outfield yesterday, but I don't see how. They could, on paper heading into the season, I don't think they're better than they were last year. Not by a mile, but 267-495-8531. That is the Back to the Future voice and text line. Let me know your thoughts on the Phillies starting pitcher. and relievers, bullpen as well. And then, of course, tell me how much of an idiot I am for even entertaining the thought of being in on this Sixers team. Yesterday's trivia question: Nova in 2016 ran through 5 straight ranked teams en route to the championship. Who were they? Iowa, who was number 25. Miami, who we talked about yesterday, number 10. Kansas, who was number 1. Oklahoma, who was number 7. And UNC in the championship, who were number 3. Thank you to everybody who reached out. Iowa and Oklahoma were the 2 that tripped everyone up the most yesterday. And then some quick housekeeping. Follow me on all social media platforms at Philly Jimbo. Talked about the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Continue to spread the word. And don't forget, the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame ballot is out. Go to the first link in the description for your chance to get your voice heard. Fill out the ballot. Who do you think should be in? And then from there, if your ballot most closely matches the actual induction class, you will win 2 free VIP tickets to the ceremony in November. We're setting up meetings, getting ready to start counting votes and things like that. So get your voice in. It's fun. I met the guys last year who won it. Pretty cool guys. So it's a cool way to just be a part of the ceremony. So be sure to fill that out. And then a couple little side notes here. Lots of feedback yesterday about the Harry the Case thing. People ripping me saying, oh, you don't like... Stop. I'm not saying I don't like Harry Callis. I'm just saying this is about a restaurant that most of us never got to. Would it be cool to somehow incorporate the Harry the K deck by the Ghost Energy Harry the K deck or something like that? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just saying it's not like they're taking the statue out or taking him out of the Phillies Wall of Fame or anything like that. But if you are pro bring back Harry the K's or save Harry the K's, of course, my boy Ryan over at Philly Goat has you covered. Go to his site now. Brand new shirt. Save Harry the K's. We know what side he's on. But again, I'm pro Harry Callis. 100%. I cried when he died. So trust me, I'm pro Harry Callis. I'm just saying it's a deck that I sat in once in 20 some odd years because, I don't know, I'd rather drink my own Miller Lights in the parking lot than pay $18 in the stadium. That's all. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Rocky statue is getting moved inside the museum today for an exhibit, and then it will take its spot at its new home at the top of the art museum steps. And I still think it's a bad move. I think, to me, leave it where it is. Like, obviously, bring it in for whatever exhibit they're doing. That's fine. But leave it where it is down at the base. Leave or put the Joe Frazier statue at the top of the steps. A real boxer who was a heavyweight champion, Hall of Fame. Put him at the top. And then, to me, you're celebrating Philly's boxing culture, and you're also giving homage to the Rocky movie, because in the movie, fictional movie, beloved Philadelphia fighter put at the top of the Rocky steps in the ceremony. Put the real beloved Philadelphia fighter at the top of the steps as a way to, like, art imitating life or life imitating art. I guess it would be life imitating art. That's my move. Put Joe Frazier at the top. That's what I'm saying. Love to know your thoughts on that. And after the Harry the Callis feedback, Harry the Callis. I like it. Harry the Callis. But after the Harry Callis pushback yesterday, I'm sure I'm going to get blasted by the pro Rocky fans. And I love Rocky. I do. I think the statue should be at the art museum steps. I just think you can do a little bit of life imitating art by putting Joe Frazier, the actual real boxer, at the top. This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today. All right, March 25th. And first, we're going to go back to 1973. And on this day in 1973, Sixers close out the season with a 115-96 loss in Detroit. Mercifully, the season was over, but it ended with their 13th straight loss. one of 73 losses for the Sixers that 72-73 season. And crazy enough, 13 games was not even close to their longest losing streak of the season. They had two 20-game losing streaks, a 15-game losing streak, and a 14-game losing streak. Kind of crazy when 13-game losing streak barely cracks the top 5. But the 73 losses is still an NBA record for losses in a season. Not the worst winning percentage, though. That would be the 2011-2012 Charlotte Bobcats. Only played 66 games that year. And not the 9 wins was not the least amount of wins in a season. That distinction belongs to the Providence Steamrollers, who only won 6 games in 1947 and 48, but they only played a 48-game schedule. So 72-76ers, you're still the worst team ever. And just for shits and giggles, if you're keeping score at home, the Sixers also have the second most losses in NBA history. Peak process era, 15-16, they had 17 losses. So I think I just gave myself the answer of whether or not I'm crazy for believing in this Sixers team or not. But I'm going to kick that football one time. I'm telling you, I'm going to kick it, and it's going to be glorious. Fast forward to 1981. The Phillies make a move that would pay dividends 2 years later. They traded Bob Walk for Gary Matthews. And we all know Sarge would end up becoming the NLCS MVP in 1983, would become the color analyst for the Phillies broadcast at from 2007 to 2013. Gave us one of the more, won't say it on here because I'll try to keep it PG, but look it up. Gary Matthews, famous analysis of, I don't even remember who it was, but his famous analysis of letting a guy jam you, and that's about all I can say here. So go look it up. But Gary Matthews traded from the Braves to the Phillies on this day for pitcher Bob Walk. Ironically enough, Bob Walk became one of the announcers for the Braves. Gary Matthews became one of the announcers for the Phillies. But Gary Matthews winning the 83 National League Championship Series MVP award. 1986, Sixers retired Dave Zinkoff's microphone. He was the legendary PA announcer. Started his career with the Phillies at Shibe Park. Went to Convention Hall, did Warriors games, then the Sixers, moved with them to the Spectrum, did a lot of boxing and WWE or WWF at the time, wrestling, because they were always at the Spectrum. He was up in Hershey for Wilt's 100 game. He was the PA announcer up there. He had passed away the previous December, so the Sixers honored him after his death by retiring his microphone up in the rafters. His famous call was for Dr. J, University of Massachusetts, number 6, Julius Erving. And that, you think my Harry Callis or Merrill Reese is bad? That does not even give Dave Zinkoff justice. Again, while you're Googling Gary Matthews, Google Dave Zinkoff too, so you can hear him. 2005, the number 5 seed Villanova took on the number 1 seed UNC up in Syracuse in the region. In Syracuse. That was the year they experimented with calling it not the East, West, South, Midwest, but it was the Syracuse regional. Lots of referee involvement from the start of this game. Villanova had 5 fouls before the first media timeout, but hung tough with the Tar Heels. Carolina led by 10 with 3 minutes, 54 seconds left, and then Nova went on a run. They cut it to 3 with 11 seconds left. Allen Ray drives the lane, draws the contact, makes the layup, figuring you're going to go see Allen Ray go attempt the game-tying free throw. But wait, the whistle was for a travel on Allen Ray. And again, look at the replay of this. Questionable at best. No chance he traveled on there. I've done it. I've slowed it down, looked at it. Allen Ray did not travel on this. Traveling, UNC gets the ball. They trade foul shots and shots. UNC wins at 67-66. Randy Foye had 28. Kyle Lowry had 18. Villanova would be back in the Elite Eight next year and then finally break through to the Final Four in 2009. But they lose 67-66 in 2005 on this day to Carolina on a very, very questionable travel call. Like I said, go look at the replays and see. And then 2018, Elite Eight, number 1 Nova versus the 3 seed Texas Tech, number 1 seed Nova. And it was all Nova as they beat the Red Raiders 71-59 to go to their second Final Four in 3 years. Eric Paschal, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and Amario Spellman all had double digits for the Wildcats as they were making their second Final Four in 3 years, setting up another date with the Kansas Jayhawks. And having a little bit of fun because this was fun with the Owls. Today's trivia question: there are 10 teams in Division I who have the nickname the Wildcats. Who are they? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531 or the Discord channel, which is the first link in the description. But what 10 teams have the nickname the Wildcats? And that leads us into What If Wednesday, brought to you by Lotwin. Go to lotwin.com for your 3D custom hype chains. Use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. It's spring sports season. These things are good for baseball teams, a little home run chain, strikeout chain, whatever you want to use them for. So go to lotwin.com. All right, so I've been doing this Phillies preview this week, and it does seem as though I'm kind of down on them, except for the pitching staff. But what if they can catch a little bit of lightning in a bottle? What does that look like? What if Bryce Harper becomes elite? I think Bryce Harper is and always was the straw that stirs the drink, to give you another Philly reference there, Reggie Jackson. I mean, he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got the motivation. If anybody can go back to an elite status, I think it's Bryce Harper. So I think if that happens, things bode well. Or what if the daycare grows up? What if Bomer and Stott finally realize their potential? That's going to provide a ton of support for Turner, Schwarber, and Harper. And I don't think it's far-fetched. Both of them, though, I don't know. But what if they both do? We'll see. They grow up. What if the kids, Andrew Painter and Justin Crawford, live up to the hype? I think both are highly touted prospects. We've seen it in the past with other teams where rookies come in and just fit in with a group of veterans and take it to the top. What if that happens? What if that bullpen gels? And on paper, it looks like they could be a solid bullpen. This one's probably not as far-fetched as the other one so far. I mean, you have Duran, you have Alvarado. What if he gets back to his pre-suspension self? Max Keller, if he continues on the run he's been on, you could have the bridge to Duran. Remember the bridge to Lidge where you had Romero, Madsen, Lidge? What if you go something like Keller, Alvarado, Duran? I mean, we could be looking at a 50-save season from Johan. We'll see. And what if Adolis Garcia finds the fountain of youth? What if he comes in and plays with these guys and goes back to his form he had with Arizona in 2023? I mean, I'm telling you, 25 home runs would be a good season for me from him. It's possible. It's possible. Even if it's for 1 year, we could have some fun down at the bank. What are your thoughts? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line and let me know what you think. But what if? I mean, all of those things could happen. I think if all 5 of those things happen, the Phillies win 105 games probably. So we'll see. But that is What If Wednesday, brought to you by Lotwin. Lotwin.com for your 3D custom hype chains. Use the promo code TCCPOD to take 10% off of your order. And then finally today, our Women's History Month Spotlight. Every journey starts somewhere. For these women, it started in Philly, whether it was on the playgrounds, rec centers, high school gyms, college gyms, and it all led to the WNBA. And today we're going to take a look at Natasha Cloud. A little Delco love today. She's from Broomall. She grew up a Sixers fan, went to Cardinal O'Hara, took them to the PIAA state finals where they lost. but she was all PA as a senior, which led her to the University of Maryland for a year, and then she transferred home to play at St. Joe's out on Hawk Hill, where she became three-time All A-10 defensive first team, All A-10. She was All A-10 Player of the Year, led the Hawks to the NCAA tournament and a first-round win over the Georgia Bulldogs. She was drafted in the second round, number 15 overall in 2015 by the Washington Mystics. And all she did in the WNBA was become a champion. She led the league in assists, three-time all-defensive first or second team. She won the Dawn Staley Community Leadership Award. She won the Skills Challenge one year. She's still active in the community, giving back. So from Delco to, in this case, Cardinal O'Hara, Broomall for the true Delco fans out there, to Hawk Hill, to the WNBA. We celebrate the journey. Philadelphia loves good, solid defense, and Natasha Cloud certainly provided that, and she was one of the best to ever do it. So shout out to you, Natasha, for our Women's History Month. All right, let me know your thoughts on What If Wednesday. Am I nuts? Probably. On this day in 2018, Villanova goes to the Final Four, beating Texas Tech. In 2005, they lose in the Sweet 16 to UNC on a very questionable travel call that should not have been called. Dave Zinkoff's microphone was retired on this day in 1986. Irving. 1981, Phillies bringing Gary Matthews. I'm telling you, if you need a laugh today, go look up Sarge and his famous quote. 1973, Sixers lose their 73rd game of the season, setting an NBA record that still stands today. All right, tomorrow is opening day, one of my favorite days of the year. Looking forward to that. We'll continue our March Madness look on Throwback Thursday. We'll update you on the Sixers. Do we get a Joel sighting tonight? Am I nuts? Probably. But interesting, like I said, the Elijah Moore signing. So we'll see how that plays out over the next couple months as well. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for March 25th, 2026. My name is Jim Montgomery. Went really long today, but I was very passionate about some of these things. So go have yourselves a Wednesday. Happy Hump Day, everybody. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.